When it comes to price action, recent data is most important. What price is doing now is more important than what price was doing 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago. This goes right down to the candle level. If you're looking at a 4-hour candle, the last hour of the candle's life is more important than the first hour. And this is where the second half comes in. Now let me be clear about this before we start. When I say second half of a candle's life, I do not literally mean the second half. So if it's an 8-hour candle, I don't mean the last 4 hours of that candle. The second half is just a catchy name, it's easy to remember and it describes the concept. By the second half, I mean the end of the candle's life. This might be in the last 4 hours of an 8-hour candle, or it might just be the last hour or the last half hour. If you remember back to one of the earlier videos, I told you one of the most important questions you need to ask yourself when you're trading is who is in control of price. Well, the second half helps you determine that, and thinking about candles in this way is important. It will help you better understand what the candles are telling you about price action. Sometimes candles can be confusing. The exercise I gave you at the end of the last video was pretty easy, but now let me show you a few tough candles and why the second half is so important. Okay, so a lot of people refer to this type of candle as a reversal pattern. It's known as an inverted hammer, and it's meant to signal a potential reversal. I don't like these candles though. I usually don't use them to enter my reversal trades. Why? Well, what does this candle say to you? It looks like an indecision candle, but is it really? Is it a strong indecision candle? The long upper wick indicates that buyers fought hard for control of price. But let's look at this candle in a little more detail. And let's think about the second half. So we have a long upper wick here. Yes, buyers did fight for control of price, that's quite clear. But that happened at the start of this candle's life. Maybe it was the first hour, maybe the third hour. The point is, buyers took control of price, but failed to hold that high. By the end of this candle's life, sellers had completely reversed the move by buyers. Not only that, sellers pushed lower than the open price. In fact, sellers closed almost at their low. We can see that by the tiny lower wick. So while buyers did take control of price for a while, the most recent data shows us that sellers took control. So when the next candle opens, sellers are likely to still have control, don't you think? If anything, a candle like this indicates that sellers are likely to continue a downtrend, or at least there's a strong possibility that sellers will be in control at the open of the next candle and that a downtrend will start. So let's drop down to a smaller time frame and see what this candle looks like on a smaller time frame. See what I mean? Looks to me like this is a downtrend, and it looks like the downtrend will probably continue. This is why what happens at the end of a candle's life is more important, and this is why I do not really like these types of candles with my reversal strategy. Let's look at another candle. Now this candle you've seen before. It was one of the exercises, but let's look at it in a little more detail. So what does the second half of this candle tell us? Well, the lower wick shows us that at the start of this candle's life, sellers pushed price down. The upper wick is small, so buyers closed near their high. The body shows us that buyers closed above the open price, so they had control of price at the end of this candle's life. This is a very nice reversal candle. It shows us that even though sellers were strong enough to push price down all the way to here, towards the end of this candle's life, and remember, recent data is most important, towards the end of this candle's life, buyers had control. They completely reversed price and closed above open. Buyer strength is more likely to continue when you see this candle, and that usually makes for better reversal trades. This is the kind of indecision that usually gets me into a reversal trade, but more on that later. So, time for a few more exercises. Same thing as the previous video, I want you to write down the candle's story, but this time, make sure you think about how each candle ended. Think about the second half. Also, make sure to write down if you think buyers or sellers had more control at the end of the candle's life. So when you finish writing out the candle story, write buyers or sellers had more control at the end. Good luck.